Okay, here we go. I think we're recording. I hope we're recording. And let me make sure that this is working, and I think it is. Great. So this is going to be the Week 14 wrap-up, Week 15 preview, and the trade deadline recap. So we did play games. Giddy up, smashed Golden Winery, and that drops me down to third, and it was Dickman Park, 8th win in a row for James. That's the longest streak of the season, and that puts James up into first, with Jordan winning 6-3 over Griffins, sliding back into second place. And then, of course, we had Kevin, Bulls Will Eat You, getting the 8-0-1 shutout over Nick Bell, and that rockets him out of that tie for the Asian Division lead because Beards lost 7-2 to Dickman Park. So that is where the standings take us. You see a 6.5 game lead. Yeah, that shutout is now recorded on the FHI history down here in the historical list of shutouts. This is fun to look at. There it is. Last year he did a Week 13 shutout that was 8-0-1, and this week a Week 14 shutout. And this gives Kevin 4 career shutouts, equaling him with James Dickman Park, who had one earlier this season too. So those two are the most shutting outingest. I do want to say, when I went to bed on this matchup, it was Kevin +1 on steals, and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis were the last burner account players to go, and they hadn't had any steals, so they must have retroactively given one of these fellas credited one of them with a steal. There it is, Jaylen Brown. That was not in his bank account when I went to bed. That was still showing 9-0. A shutout nonetheless, according to our rules. So let's go back and take a look at the trades. Now, trade deadline recap. Don't get defensive, fellas, but I'm going to give my takes on these trades. This is just my take on things. Trades until the real flurry at the end, we're generally down this year. And it seems like this year, it's only one kind of trade happens. The I'm getting rid of stuff to get future assets. There's not a whole lot. In fact, this year, I don't think there was any I'm trying to get better on both sides of the trade. It's just one person getting rid of stuff and the other person, trying to get better to make a championship run. So, the week, there were already, when this week started, there were already 2 trades that had been made. If I can get this moved over a little bit there we go. And so the market was set a little weird because of 2 Mark trades. The Durant for a 5th and for Max Christie, that seemed like a low price for Durant, but then just like 2 weeks later, getting the 2nd rounder for Gobert, I was like, oh, well, Mark learned his lesson and got a really good price. And so that seemed to set the market really high for buyers when Gobert went for a 2nd. A 5th coming back, so it wasn't like a 2nd for an 11th. Then the trades really started in earnest after that Gobert trade. Actually, it was only 2 days later, but within the context of Week 14. So first, Starks just cleared everything out. Embiid, is that going to be worth anything? Is he going to play at all? And then Kuzma and Poole, the high volume, low efficiency, wizard scoring guys. Say what you will about those guys. This is a trio of fan favorites here. So, what did Josh get back? He got a 3rd, a 7th, which is higher than a 9th. Shaedon Sharpe as a keeper, maybe 9th rounder, possibly. So, a moderate return for Josh, but what was he working with? We'll see him again, though. Then Seth went to work, giving up a 2nd rounder and a Derek Lively keeper. That answers the question of what am I going to do with this injured keeper. He'll be an 8th next year because he was a 10th this year, Lively. 2 Desmond, for Sabonis. Sabonis was a low 1st round draft pick, and he's going to be a high 2nd round pick is what he's traded for next year. So that to me seemed like a pretty high price to pay. Then it was Kevin, I think, getting good value for Steph, third rounder. Cam Thomas, again, potential keeper there. I believe he's a 9th round keeper, eligible for next year. Oops, he's already been traded. So who was that even to, you guys? Sorry, this is all being done on the fly without preparation. So Reinsdorf. So this is where Nick with a K starts getting involved. So he could have Cam Thomas for a 9th rounder next season. Potential for that. I mean, the Nets are doing nothing, and that guy scores a lot of baskets. And then I thought this was real value for Joel, getting Giannis for a 4th rounder. Now, he did give up Jeremy Grant, who has 7th round keeper potential, but then Mark cut Jeremy Grant just a couple days later. So that completed Mark's trades. Let's take a look then. Rants is with Wolf, just one rant. Now we'll have 2 seconds, 2 fourths next year. For some reason, I think I missed one of his. I do believe I missed one of his. He should also have a 5th Bulls. A Bulls 5th is missed there. So I'm going to add that in real time because that's fascinating to watch. This is something that maybe you guys are listening to, if anyone is actually paying attention to this. Great. So we're going to keep going with the trades. So that was the end of the business day for Rances. So Rances has an extra 2nd, 4th, and 5th for next year, along with some keeper options. This one I was like, at this point, when Reinsdorf and Jordan swapped 1st and 2nds for Damian Lillard, that's when I was like, it's gone too far. It's too crazy. So Seth gives up his 1st rounder, which will be a low 1st rounder, and gets Reinsdorf's 2nd, which will be a low 2nd. But you're talking about 15 picks or something overall to shift, and gets Dame. I think that's really a pretty good score for Seth. Really taking a crack at that 4th championship now. As I switch back over to Seth's keeper menu. Now, Seth will not be able to trade a 1st round pick next year. The old you can't trade. What is it? The former owner of the Cavs, the Stepien rule. And so that was a big purchase. So now Reinsdorf is just selling. Next trade after that. This was when, surprise, Casey gets out of the running. He trades away Jalen Johnson, another valuable keeper, but hurt, along with... he acquires that. This is a garbage video. He acquires a 2nd rounder and Jalen Johnson for Kawhi and Towns. So Hipster Beard's really loading up on big talent. Of course, there's some injury risk there, especially with Kawhi, but really going in on a championship run is Hipster Beard's, giving up that excellent keeper, Jalen Johnson, who I think has 9th round value next year, and now that's a Morey with a big reload for next year. Jalen Johnson as a keeper has an extra 2 and now has an extra 1, because as we go back and we look at the very next trade, that's Amori gets a 1st rounder and gets Scoot Henderson keeper for Jaren Jackson and Trae Young. A 4th, so swapped for that 1st. So not a massive shift, not a 1st for an 11th. But that's the end of the Jaren Jackson keeper era, as he was up to 2nd round keeper value. Maybe Kevin will keep him in the 2nd round. But that's Amori. So Casey, surprise, gets out of the running. Was one of those many teams vying for a lower playoff slot, but probably going to plummet now. But he's got 2 firsts and 2 seconds next season, along with a great keeper Jalen Johnson as a 9. That'll slide to 10. And then we saw him do some stuff like, and he's got Henderson too, so that would slide to 11. if he keeps Scoot, McCain if he wants that third rookie. So, wow. Yeah, Casey next season, looking like a next season guy. Now, Dez, of course, also went to get out of things. Now, these are the ones that have processed, so then we need to go and take a look at the two that won't have processed until Tuesday morning. First, it was my trade. Oh, wait, Dez. So Dez only did Dez only make one trade? So this is the thing. It's like Dez, is he really out? Because he did not trade Anthony Edwards in the end. We'll talk about the playoff races and stuff in a second. Let's take a look at these last two trades then. So then I made my big trade, and I wanted to trade with Nick Bell with burner account just because I was like, you got hurt by Luka injury. I thought this was your year to get into the playoffs. It's not happening. I was looking to get rid of a third and a fourth. At one point I had trade offers out to like a third of the league to four different people. Eddie had said yes, I'm interested in trading, and then he went incommunicado. So that didn't happen. So yes, so I get a bunch of pieces. A bunch of interesting pieces. Hero, Jaden McDaniels, who I can keep, and John Collins. I give up my third and fourth, get back a 6 and a 9, 69, and then gave away my rookie keeper, Steph Castle. DeAndre Ayton, I was just sick of his shit, and then Bruce Brown, the throwaway. And then it happened with Steph Castle, and then in the very next trade, the final trade of the trade season, Dickman Park gets involved, but not very much, and he trades for Chris Paul. So, but both of these trades, Chris Paul and Steph Castle, then those guys' value is probably lessened by De'Aaron Fox coming to San Antonio. So what is this? Is this a big needle mover? He trades his rookie keeper Yves Missy back to Starks. A fifth for a sixth, very, very small draft consequence. And Chris Paul. Chris Paul, it has been noted many times. I don't know if this was in James's head, but it's been noted many times. I don't know what the stats are. I haven't done a check on this in a long time. But at some point, many years ago, I looked in like who was the most rostered player on all championship teams for FHI, and it was Chris Paul. I don't know where that stands now. Maybe I'll go back and do another look and see who the most rostered is and see if it's still Chris Paul. But it has become an in-joke that Chris Paul is a good luck charm for... what is this? What are they asking me to buy on my banner ads? Cool. There you have it. This week's matchups, then. We've got me versus Amori, but Amori, though ninth, not really vying for a playoff spot. Here's the premier matchup of the week. Dickman Park versus Bulls will each you 1 versus 4. Can that 8-game winning streak for James get extended versus Bulls, who has a reloaded roster and has been getting hot himself? Other exciting matchups, not a whole lot. This is the last of our round-robin matchups of the season before we go into the last 3 weeks, 4 calendar weeks, 3 matchups of intra-divisional play. The other matchup, I guess, is 7 versus 8. Magic City, Aaron added only Gobert versus Triple X. And, let's take a look at Dez. Is Dez really out, or is he going to still make the playoffs? Kept De'Aaron Fox. Miles Bridges. Anthony Edwards. He picked up Jose Alvarado, who's going to have a big role down the stretch. This is still a very good-looking team to me. So is he going to fuck around and accidentally make the playoffs? Who is to say? We will find out in 5 calendar weeks' time. Someone has just dropped Quentin Grimes. It's giddy up. So there you have it, folks. I don't know if that's going to be something that you can listen to or if you need to watch me scrolling while you do that, but I have done my due diligence, recapping the trades, rambling on in this tone that I hit, real repetitive. Hope you're not annoyed. If you've listened this far, you're not annoyed. All right. Thanks, fellas. I got to figure out how to stop this PowerPoint situation. There we go. Bye.